Um, okay, our next presentation, our penultimate presentation, is to look at VBS, Vacation Bible School. I think this is something that parents welcome at the beginning of, usually at the start of the summer holidays. In particular, it's a way of the children spending more time in church, but doing something creative and interactive. And of course, during the lockdown, the last 2 years, that's been somewhat difficult with churches closed. And that's where we at the centre, the South England Conference, joined forces with Brixkidz ministry to bring the Vacation Bible School stories alive and produce it virtually so that the children could tune in, and it ran over a week. And it's been a pleasure for us to have been working with the director, Craige, who is also a trained teacher and is very, very creative and passionate about developing children's creativity and in particular their media skills. The Brixkidz ministry, they run every Friday evening. They have a program that runs on their channel, and the children's membership is actually global. I must also mention before he comes on that Brixkidz Media or Ministry is an award-winning Christian organization. They won a number of prizes last year for their creativity and the work that they do. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you the director of Brixkidz Ministry to talk about VBS, Craige Young. Craige, you have our undivided attention.
Thank you very much, Judy, and thank you very much for everyone who is on this platform. It's a pleasure to just hear all of the presentation, and everybody is in one accord. And the key word that I keep hearing is connection and relationship. And my task is to speak to you about VBS and how we can plan a successful VBS, how we are going to get people to support that, recruit some volunteers, which is always a difficult task, and how we publicize our programs, making sure that everybody is hearing about it and we get the impact we need from our children and for the community. And then what happens after VBS and how do we follow up? So that's what I'm hoping to cover in this. I have a bit about Brixkidz ministry. As Judy said, we have been doing Friday favorites since the lockdown. Every Friday at 7:30, the children come in and share their favorite songs, favorite characters in the Bible, sing songs and Bible texts and so forth. It started out in the lockdown where, my wife and myself and my daughter, we were presenting object lessons online every Saturday at 11:30. And then that grew to having children from Guyana, from Jamaica, from Africa, all over who have joined in and been part of the presentation. We also present our Brixkidz Live program on Adventist Radio London every Saturday at 4 p.m. And we did some programs, Cooking with Curly Sue. We have a session, some series, Kids Point. And Brenda Walsh in the US, most of you know her from 3ABN. She now has her platform, Kids Club for Jesus. Our program, Brixkidz Live, is on her platform in the US, so we hear our program. So every Saturday, our program goes out at 11:30 and is on all these platforms. What we tend to do and our focus on when we talk about VBS is about making it real. And these are some of the things that you would have heard before. It needs to be relational because we need it to be person to person, that interaction between children and adults, children and their families, and it enhances the spiritual growth of our children. We need to make it experiential for our children. So it's hands-on, we are told that whatever we hear or read, it doesn't register as much as what we do, and we are physically involved with. So it's like what we do and our hands-on approach to VBS, or the things that we do, 6-9 times more than if we were just to read something to children. And I know I'm talking about VBS, but this also links to our Sabbath school. So whatever, VBS is just a week's program of Sabbath school for children. That's how I look at it. We need to make sure our programs are applicable. That means it equips the children not just to be hearers of the word, but to be doers of the word. And it needs to be lifelong, a lifelong experience that, you know, years after years, you will remember those days. And how I started VBS, it was over 10 years ago, when then a children ministry leader said, you know, I don't know anything about VBS, but I can see your creativity. I tell stories in church, and said, can you run this VBS for me? And she got me the package. And at that time, my daughter was just born, and I was going around looking at church and saying, I want to do something for children. I want a church that my child will always enjoy going to and enjoy the Sabbath school and the lessons. And I went around and I didn't see anything that I really wanted, you know, that would, you know, be what I want. And then they asked me to be children ministry leaders. And I said, from that day, whatever I do, I want it to be for my child to enjoy, that leaving church and saying church was boring. I want them to experience church as being fun, interactive, and last a lifelong experience for them. And before I go any further, I'm just going to ask, in the chat, you can put that up. Any of you who have done VBS before or are planning to do VBS, if you can just put a thumbs up in the chat if you have done VBS before, if you're planning to do VBS, because it would be interesting to see how many of us have done VBS before or are planning to do that. So 5 people have said they have planned, 6. Few people are saying they have done it before, or they're planning to do it. And I think once we get through this, it will help us to be prepared. And I'm hoping that by the end of this presentation, you'll be equipped and ready to do your VBS for this summer or whenever you want to do it this year. Now, these are some of the VBS. I started out with the first VBS I did was about 30 children. And then over the years, in the past 10 years, I've been doing VBS. And these are some of the VBS, over 100 children every year with almost 50 parents and adults volunteering. And I didn't have to ask for volunteers after the first one. Everybody wanted to join in because they experienced it. And I tell you, the adults were the ones even more engaging and, you know, enjoying it more than the children. So we're going to look at how do we plan a successful VBS, and look at 6 things we will need to know in planning. Look at how we plan over a 6-month period. So it's now February. VBS I usually do, which is just at the end of the summer holiday before children go off and with their families on holiday. The last week of July, I would suggest I usually do mine so we can finish work, get the VBS out, the children enjoy, and they can go off and enjoy their holiday with their families. So the first thing you want to do is to remember that once you're planning this VBS, it's about relationship. You're encouraging kids to grow their relationship, grow in their faith, and then encourage them to have a healthy relationship with each other, with their children, with other children, with parents, with the adults that lead them. So you want to make sure that whatever you're planning is going to build on that relationship. You want to make sure you're planning an environment that it's not focused on competition, but enjoying the word of God and seeing it in a fun way, and it will stick to them. So it's not about competing, and the children are not there to compete against each other. It's about having fun. At VBS, there will be no put down, just as you would not want that in your Sabbath school. It's about encouraging each other and building each other, even if they find things difficult. You want to applaud every effort that children are having here. And this morning we talk about the development stages of children. Children will have special needs, will have different challenges, during the time of your presentation or VBS. So, how do you make sure it's inclusive and everyone is enjoying it and having fun during that time? And you're going to make sure you're constantly encouraging these children. Might find some of the tasks difficult or some of the songs that they might not be able to sing or doing things like everybody else, but you want to encourage everyone to be there and take part. Now, the first thing you need to think about is when you're going to have your VBS and where. So it doesn't have to be in the morning. It could be in the afternoon or in the evening. It could be a midweek club. So on a Wednesday, you want to do for the next 4 weeks, you want to do a Wednesday club if that's when you're available. Or it could be a weekend or Sabbath morning if you want to do after Sabbath school, you want to do a 4-week period of every Sabbath you come, you'll have something to do after the Sabbath school. Could be a part of your Sabbath, your children's church. You could use it as a children's church program. So every week you'll do one for the children, or it could be a weekend retreat. If you go on a retreat with your church or with Pathfinders or whoever it is, you can have a camp, and it could be just for a weekend because there are different packages for those. So you decide when you're going to have this VBS and where. You also need to check that there is no clash with other programs in the church calendar. So Pathfinder is one that they go on camps and they do have other things. And these are the same children you are trying to reach and their families. But also you want to make sure that you are, catering for the community. It's ultimately an outreach mission for the children. They're inviting their friends from school, they're inviting their friends from the neighborhood, and it's a way of building that in them that they can minister to others through this program. So once you have decided on where, you need to think about the program that you want to do. So here, these are the current programs that are being promoted for this year. They're from different companies. All of these are from the US. You have from Group Publishing, you have the Adventist that is done by the North American division. You have the Answers, Lifeway, Orange, lots of VBS programs that you can choose from. So you need to look at these packages and think, where would I get the best program? And in your handout in the pack that was sent out, you will have a list of websites that you can connect with those. Personally, I have been using the Group Publishing ones, also a distributor for them in the UK, we're the only distributor for Group Publishing in the UK, because those are the ones I find more engaging, interactive. I've tried all of them over the 10 years. I've used some for Sabbath school, I've used some for children's church, but Group is the one that I highly recommend and have been using for the past 10 years, I said, because they have everything you need for the VBS, all the resources, the songs. It's very engaging, it's very interactive, and it's lasting. Children, years after years, children will be singing the songs and talking about VBS. I was at church last week and Pathfinders were having devotion, and the leader said, which songs should we do? And all the songs the children were playing is from VBS songs from Shipwreck, VBS from Roar, and it was like 5 years ago that they were having these songs at their VBS, and they're still talking about it. So what do we do then now, between now and the next 6 months? How are we going to plan for VBS? So we need to begin praying for your church's VBS. That's the first thing we need to do. Pray that you are able to plan VBS that will be successful, that will be God-centered, that will bring children to know Christ, that will bring family to know Christ. because sometimes it's through the children you reach the family. The children will go home talking about all that they have learned and singing the songs, and then they will then, want to know more, coming, engaging in the programs, and you can reach a family. And over the years, I've seen, lots of family being baptized into the church only because a child invited a friend to VBS, and the friend went home, sing the songs, talk about VBS. The family was, they were, curious to come to church, and before you know it, the entire family is being baptized. So choosing the format of your VBS, what do you want your format to be? Is it going to be a morning, afternoon? Is it going to be a weekend? Is it going to be a midweek? Decide on those things, and then set the dates. So when you set the date, you want to make sure there are no clashes, as I've said before, and check what is happening in your community, what is happening in your church, what is happening in the conference, so you're not clashing on those dates. If you are not able to, you don't think yourself as a creative person, find someone in your church, a teen or a pathfinder, or someone who tells good stories, or someone who is very creative. Find that person and say, can you help to lead this, and give them that task. You will be amazed how many people in the church can do this challenge. Then you need to set a budget. So in setting the budget, whatever VBS you choose, then there is always a catalog that goes with it, and it gives you all the resources that you would need, and you can then see how much it would cost. So you need to set a budget and then write down all that you think it will cost, present it to your church, or and see what they think. You might not have the budget. And I remember when I did my first VBS, it was costing $700, I think, and the church was not able to do that. I think the children's ministry budget at the time was £200. And I said, oh, we're going to do it. Whatever comes, we're going to do it. And we look at a number of ways we can fundraise. You can think about asking for an offering. You can think about asking people to donate to the task, sponsoring children. You can do bake sales or do some car wash, whatever it is. The children can get involved to fundraise for this activity. And once you are able to do that, and the church probably will want to match the funding that you have raised, and you might have some people in your church who are happy to donate or to sponsor the program. Consider different ways you can fundraise for this for that. And then, once you know what program you're doing, you know what sort of decorations you would need, what you need to put in place, start collecting some of the decorations that you would need. So that between now and the next 3 months, that's your task, is to get all of these in place and start working on that. Once you have done that, and you're now into 2-3 months before the actual date you have set, how are you going to make sure you're publicizing your VBS? Probably you'll have some what in mind that you think you can do all the publicizing for me, doing some posters, making sure it's on the social media, on the church's website, sending out to contacts. Then you need to set up a registration. So how are you going to get people to start registering and making sure we have a number of, the numbers that are coming in, how many people are interested, and how can you get more people interested? One thing about group, which I talked about, they have a system that you can also, create a website with all the information, and you can get the registration done, so you can see all those who are registered. And it's an easy way to send information to parents. But if you have a church website, you can put that, however you do the registration. Electronical is good because you can send a link to people, they register, they get more information at hand. Paper register, if you do that at church, is about making sure you adhere to data protection. Then you want to check if you have 100 or 20 or 30 children in your Sabbath school, you're thinking, how many of these children are going to be at the VBS, and how many are going to invite their friends? So you started to estimate how many you need to cater for, and then ordering the resources. So you need to then think about the number of children you have. So what is the cost for these resources that you need? It is very good to network. I know I've done that with different churches. We network, and it cut down on the cost, because if you're going to do the same VBS, you can share the resources, share the decorations. Maybe we do it 1 week in my church, and next week I do it in another church. We can just use the decorations, use some of the resources, and get ideas how you can use homemade resources to decorate the hall that makes it wonderful for the children to come and see. So make sure you're networking and learning from each other. Of course, on social media, there's lots of VBS groups on WhatsApp and Facebook. You can always be a part of that, seeing it on Pinterest. There's lots of photos to show how decorations have done, what people have done. YouTube, you can always check out YouTube. They'll show you how to do VBS and have that done. This is a time now you need to start recruiting some people to lead. So depends on which VBS, and these VBS that I have mentioned will have different sections, different areas, and you want to have people to lead those areas. And it's best to have one-to-one talk. Go to people and say, can you do this for me? Encourage others to help you recruit some of the members in the church. Once you have done your recruitment, you will need to start having some training, meeting with those people who are going to be leading. The VBS packs that we do at group, they come with all the resources, the training manuals, the DVD for training. Everything is there, so you don't have to worry about making up a training program. It's already there for you to use. So you just gather to people. Now it's electronical, so you can always share the link so people can watch it in their own time, and you can do it virtual so people can get that training, not having to come to one place if that's an issue. Once you have done your training and you have done all of that, you are now about a month and a half before VBS starts. What is it you need to do? You need to now begin to look at other people who can be helping you with the children, leading different group of children. So you have the leaders who will lead the demonstration and the activities. Now you want some other people to help you lead and volunteer to come and be a leader in a group. It's good to have your teens and your youth paired up with adults, and they can be supportive in those groups. Continue your publicity in your church, in your bulletin, social media. Continue to put banners up around your church, in the notice board, so everybody knows that VBS is coming. Gathering all the supplies, you continue to do that. You make sure anything that is outstanding, anything that you need, you source it. Ask people for those things to help you, making sure you have everything that you need. And you now start asking your members to do that, and they will have things that they can lend you. If it's probably an old suitcase that you want to use, or some greenery or whatever, you might be surprised to how many things people have that they will need. I remember people will come and say, I have this patch of grass, artificial grass that I saw at my workplace, and they were trying to, do you want it? Yes, you can bring it to me. I can use that for a green area if you don't have a green area. Many things people would have that will be useful for you. Then you need to plan the hours of your VBS. Is it going to be all day from 9 or 10 to 4? Or is it going to be a 3-hour program? I usually run my VBS for 2 to 3 hours, because that keeps a fast pace, and then the children are left wanting and yearning for more. And every year you'll get the parents, can you have it for longer? The children, can we have it? Oh, I don't want it to finish, because it, the engagement and excitement is there, and children are continue to want more of VBS. So after the week, you'll hear parents say, can we have another week of this? And can we have 2 weeks? And it is so good. And the parents are now wanting more of this for the children. Now that we are just a month away from VBS, what do we do? Any more volunteers you need? You might need volunteers to do, just helping around or making sure things are cleaning up and, transporting people, looking at helping for childcare if that's a problem. Get as much volunteers as you want. The first time you do a good VBS, I guarantee you the next VBS, you won't have to do this hard work in getting volunteers. You will say, people will be booking their holidays and saying, I've booked my holiday so that I can have a day or 2 or 3 days to come and support you. Get your congregation excited about VBS. One of the things in the pack that you'll get for VBS, it's a skit that you can get children or adults to act it out and create that excitement. And you'll do this every week for the next 4 weeks leading up to VBS. You'll always be promoting it and make it exciting. Or there's a video recording video that you'll get in your pack that you can just play that and share it with people to keep on reminding them that VBS is coming up. Continue with the pre-registration, making sure that people are registering and getting all the registration done, and you will get the numbers. And every year I find this, even though you do pre-registration, be prepared for registration on Monday, on Tuesday, on Thursday, on Friday, the last day, because people will always hear about what is happening and want to join in, and they get more people in. So be prepared for that. But as much as possible, get pre-registration done, so at least you have the numbers, you have the children, you can sort out the grouping. So when you come on the day, where when a child comes, okay, you're in that group, and they are settled without having to spend a lot of time on the first day trying to get children into the right groups. Make sure you hold a staff meeting with all the leaders. Training would have happened, but you want to catch up with everybody, make sure everybody is on the same page, making sure that any last minute information is given out, any things that need to be clarified is done, and you get that happening. Meet with each leader, decide, answer any questions they might need to have, and provide all the information to your church. Continue with the promotion. It's about promoting. And the first VBS you do, you'll have to do a lot of that. If it's done well, the next year you don't even have to do any of this. The word of mouth will be there, and before you know it, everybody will be telling you and reminding you and telling you what they're planning to do for VBS. 2 weeks and come in. Keep on checking your registration count. Check that you have all your supplies. You would have done all your orders. You have all the resources that you have ordered. You have put them into this different groups, so you know what you have for each station, each area that is going to be there. You have everything ready for collection and for distribution. Continuing to publicize in your VBS, and crucially, you need to make a backup plan. Emergencies where if somebody I always have 2 leaders for each area, because if somebody is not able to make it on the day, you will have somebody who can fit in. If it's a bad weather, if it rains, or it's a very hot day, whatever it is, what is the alternative? Have a plan B for those emergency things that are happening there. And then you're coming down to the week before VBS, as a Sabbath before VBS. The first thing you want to do is to all those people who are dedicating, who are volunteering, making sure that you dedicate them. You ask the pastor or the elders in the church to just pray over them, pray over the VBS, prepare them for what you're going to do, and dedicate them to the service that they will be doing, because there will be workers who are making an impact on the children's lives and spreading God through this ministry. and you want to make sure God is seen and God is heard and God is lifted up in this. So you dedicate the volunteers, meet with your station leaders, again, for any last minute things that need to be done. Help to decorate the room, making sure all the decorations are there. So if you can do it for the week before, usually we get it done, because the room that we usually use is used for anything. If you're in a church hall, you can't do it a week in advance if it's being used by other people. So you decorate it probably the Saturday night before, putting up everything that is there. So when children come, they're going to see a completely different place and they're going to be wowed by what they see. Each day you will need to make sure you meet with your leaders just first thing in the morning, just to make sure everybody's on track. So decide where you're going to meet while the children are having a bit of worship session with the leaders, with the worship leader. You meet everybody, making sure everybody's on track, having everything that they need, answering any quick questions, and you decide on where you're going to meet on that day. As I said earlier on, plan for somebody to be there to register those who are walking in, those who didn't do the pre-registration but have heard about VBS and want to register, or just didn't do it and come in with their children. Be ready to do that. And then you assign the children to the groups, so who is going to be leading which group of children, and you put those together so everybody knows the children that are going. And then on the day when you have registration happening, you can then assign children to different groups. And then making sure all the leaders have all the supplies that they need for each day. Put those in little bags or little baskets, so that when they come, they just need to pick that up, go to their station, ready to create a wonderful time for the children. Now the VBS is happening, and it's the day of the VBS or the week of the VBS. Be sure to make sure you have a set area for your celebration, right, called Sing and Play. Have devotion first thing in the morning, where all the children will gather together, sing songs, and have a good time before they go out in their little groups doing their different activities. So have a set area for that, and that's where they meet every day. Make sure your crew leaders have what they need as soon as they come, and it's handed out to them. Hand out any daily schedule that you have. So each day there's a schedule in the pack. You'll get all of these information. Which group is going to go which area first, and what rotation is going to happen. Any information that you need to send to parents. We usually have a little newsletter, give a summary of what the day. Each day you have a summary of what that day is. So you'll know the key Bible text, you'll know the key message that you will learn at every station. So everybody will have that information. Continue to register new children. Meet with your leaders while they're singing, as I said earlier on, to make sure that you pray together, have a quick huddle, pray with your leaders before they go out on their task. Make sure you have the leaders present and know if there's any absence so you can cover those. Make sure you go around as the leader if you're not having a group. I usually try to free myself that I'm not stuck to any one area. So I can always be going around to making sure that everything is happening. And if I need to fit in or jump in quickly to support one of the leaders, I can do that. And you have a sense of what is happening in each area. Make sure all the supplies are there and all the programs are there. Stock up any first aid at the end of the day, making sure you're prepared for the next day, any first aid that you might need. You'll have in your pack that you get for VBS certificates that say you have completed this. Make sure you have all of those, all the names, not just for the children, but for all the volunteers. And each day in the pack, you'll have things to send home. I think one of the greatest things for VBS is the Bible buddies that have the Bible text for each day. The children will take these home, and some of these are interactive that you can scan it and there's a game for the children to play, or you can put it in your hand, warm it up, and it reveals a Bible text. And these are the things that the children will have for years to remember these Bible verse. And then after VBS is finished, what do? We make sure we follow up after VBS. So you collect any things that are left over. And I always say the great thing about the VBS resources is that you can always use them for Sabbath school, for children's church, or for any other activities that you have with children. So collect anything that you can reuse and use them. Some of them you can use for the next VBS, especially for decoration purposes. Make sure you leave the room decorated for the next church service. I always have at the end of VBS, if the church have not seen what the children have done over the week, what I usually do is to invite the church to come and see get a taste of it. So all the areas are there, the bits of the activities, they can come and see a glance of what the children would have had, how the room or the hall would have been decorated, or the church would have been decorated, and leave it there for the next service. We usually have the end of week program. So at the end of VBS, you can do that either the Friday if you want to do that, but generally I usually do this on the Sabbath. It could be in an afternoon program, or it could be the divine program where the children present all the songs that they have learned. And usually we have 10 songs, and you will be amazed how the children will learn those 10 songs over the week and be able to sing those and do the actions. So in the end of close program, you will have them singing the songs, presenting their Bible verse, talking about what they enjoyed, and you'll present some awards. You could present the certificates there. You could give awards for the different children who stood out during that time. Then, you could probably have an open afternoon or morning where you just leave it for people to come and see, making sure that adults are seeing where their donation have been. And once they see this, I can guarantee you the next year, they would be happy to donate even more time, money, resources. So make sure you take a lot of pictures to share and remind them of what you did last year or the year before, so that they can see that. As I said, the wrap-up could be in the Sabbath service, divine hour Sabbath school after, it doesn't matter when, but just have a program at the end of it. And follow up with outreach. So when you have children's church, so the good thing when you have the electronic registration, if you're having a children's church or a program at church, you can easily email all of those families and say, we're having this, invite them. You can send information to them back home so that they can always be in the loop. You can send messages of thanks to people who have volunteered, to the parents, and information that you want to follow up. And usually at the end of the day, you'll have the parents collecting, if you're not there with the children, collecting their children. What I always encourage and suggest to churches is to make sure you have elders, Bible workers, or people who are there. When parents come, they are hanging about waiting for the children, somebody to talk to them, or invite them into the church to sit, have books to give them, have some literature, so you can, be evangelizing to the parents. And making sure those people who have volunteered, you're giving them a big thank you, give them a little gift, whatever it is, a little gift voucher, whatever you can afford, to say thank you. They will feel appreciated, and they will come back the next day. And usually, this is a time to announce what your theme is for the next VBS. And with all of these VBS, by summer, you'll know what next year's theme is. So have that ready. And that's the last thing you want to say. Children, this is where we're going next year. This is what VBS is going to be. You can't afford. This is the date. This is when we're going to do it. Put it in the diary from today. That means next year it's already in the diary. And when it comes to promoting and doing all the promotion, it's already ready for you. And then we want to evaluate. So we ask the children to evaluate. We ask the parents to evaluate. We have an evaluation form that comes in the pack. Ask them to evaluate. ask those members of the church who have volunteered to evaluate, and everybody needs to give an evaluation, whether it's by word of mouth or by paper, so you can know what went well, what didn't go so well, what we need to improve, and what we need to do next year so we can have a better experience for our children, for ourselves. And of course, making sure start asking those volunteers to be ready for next year's VBS. So we want them to make sure that they are prepared. They had a great time. Next year, come back and do it again. That's how you would go about planning a useful VBS. I'll take any questions now that finish. We have done what we need to do for the year. We have a great VBS. Of course, my contact details there, and any questions I'm happy to take at this moment.
Okay, thank you so much, Craige. There's a lot of information there, and I can see again positive comments coming up. Maybe if folks would like to take a screenshot, that's the best way, and then we can see your face as we take questions.
Okay, yeah.
So you perhaps should explain very briefly that you're the distributor for the group.
Yeah, I'm the distributor for group publishing. So if you need resources for group, then you can always contact me. I've been working, as I said, with the conference with different churches and getting resources. If you look at other VBS and you think I also get VBS resources from Concordia, you can, they do all the other VBS. So yes, I'm happy to support you with planning and preparing and training. But once you have the pack, everything is there for you to use, but I'm happy to support in any way.
Thank you, Craige. And I'm correct in saying that this year, the plan isn't to do a virtual one for VBS, but to look to support the churches. But for camp meeting, which is during half term this year, and I think numbers will be limited. So therefore, we will be doing a joint program, which is the marketplace.
Marketplace, Jerusalem Marketplace. So for the past 2 years, we have been doing the virtual VBS with the SEC conference, and it's been very successful. We have had over 500 families taking part, and we were able to get resources for all those who wanted resources shipped and posted to people so that the children can do the activities at home. We were able to liaison with and work in partnership with the Pathfinder department of the conference to get Pathfinders to lead out in some of the sessions as part of their training, which is a very good training for the Pathfinders in churches to lead out in these programs. So this we have done 2 years of this, and because most churches are going back into the building, we're happy to support you in getting you doing your VBS in church, and we'll support you for that. But as Judy said, we're going to do the virtual camp meeting because we can do it's limited space for the children, all the children to be there.
Okay,
and I know quite a number of churches already have ordered their packs and are in the process of doing that. And if you're thinking about doing it, you have 6 months to do that. We'll take you through and help you from the beginning to the end.
I should also say that at the end, there'll be a slide showing you the T-shirts for both the VBS, which you'll run locally in your churches, but also which is monumental, and then for the camp meeting one, Jerusalem Marketplace, the T-shirts. In fact, they should arrive in the UK by the end of next week, God willing, because we've had to triple the lead-in time to order them to make sure that we're not disappointed. So at least they'll be available to purchase through the SEC Pathfinder website. So that will come up at the end. Are there any questions?
I see a question here. Are the themes in the pack? So do we come up with them? No, the pack. So we recommend, and I recommend, and we have been using with the conference, the group. In the pack, you'll get everything you need. You get samples of all the resources. You'll get manuals. You'll get training DVDs for how to decorate your place, how to do your training, all the publicity, everything you'll need is there. Logos that you can use to promote your programs, everything you need in the pack. And that's why I use these programs, because I remember as a child doing VBS, the only thing I can remember going to church and painting a red flower on a piece of glass. And that's the only thing I can remember. Here you'll have all the resources for each day, and it takes you through what you would need to say and how you need to say it, and it takes you from day one to the end, and even gives you how to plan the closing program. So everything is there for you. You wouldn't need to do anything.
Okay, thank you very much.
Another question says, do you order the digital kit from Group? I am the distributor for Group in the UK. If you order from Group, they don't post to the UK. So if you come through me, then I can order that for you. It will be posted directly to you, and it's a digital kit. You get the pack with the physical things, but you also get a USB, or for this year, you don't even get a USB, you get a passcode in the pack that you go on the website and you download all the resources, and you can then share it with your group.
Right, okay. Anything else? I'm conscious we come of time and we need to have our last presentation. So I think if there's anything else, please put it in the chat, and hopefully you've taken a screenshot of the contact details for your resources from Craige. Craige, as always, it's a pleasure working with you. Thank you very much for that highly informative, very detailed presentation. And as always, we pray that God will continue to bless you, your family and your ministry, and all the Brixkidz part of it. It's a growing ministry, and we'd like more children to be able to join up. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Okay.